Hi. Um, just thought I'd do a video today. I wanted to use this thing too. I think it's cool. Some things in there. It's cool, isn't it? Okay, so kind of like my focus today. Not very much I'm gonna talk about. Not that it probably ever gets watched anyway. It's to do with just like abuse in the mind and how it affects and reacts to the mind and how that might affect people versus like an experience with it and trauma. And like I'm thinking about different things I should have done now. I'm gonna also do that too. Okay, so to start off, home. Abuse may hit home. Shelter, safety, nurturing, and warmth. Abusive situations could be to do with home. That was a weird card to get at first. Okay, so abusive situations like this is inside to maybe someone out there's abusive situation. We've got shelter, safety, nurturing, and warmth. For someone, which is weird when it comes to abusive situations, or this could also be because I'm also focusing on forgetting things. So it could even be forgetting situations that once was, or like someone being in a warm, nurturing situation once as well. And then I just did my hair. We've got divine consciousness, so interconnection, Egyptian expansion, oneness, and light. We've got pleasure, enjoyment, beauty, sensuality, indulgence. So whether you could find your own pleasure or you've forgotten pleasures of life or abusive people get pleasure out of doing this for someone, which kind of reminds me of the different ways these things can think. Honesty, truth, transparency, sincerity, communication. Honesty and where it's come from, why someone's staying with someone, why it happened even. Like there can be different reasons for abuse. Like someone could be abusive, someone could be not what they seems when it comes to abuse. Someone could be this, someone could be that, someone could be manipulating you or someone. Um, abuse is still abuse. So we got the third chakra. So the voice, someone's voice being affected by this, maybe someone's scared to speak or speak up, or just remaining silent. And then we have self-expression, which is vocalization, individuality, inner voice, and assertiveness, in the reverse. So someone who is not going to vocalize, someone who doesn't speak up about something, someone who tries to follow with the groups or the norms or just do what everyone else is doing instead of doing their own thing. The opposite of inner voice is an outer voice or an outer action. So someone who acts out. Assertiveness, I don't really comprehend what that word means. So, like, from what I understand, it's like asserting yourself. So, someone who doesn't assert or talk up or define themselves, and they're just kind of always in the background, like, yeah, to do with an abusive situation. I was gonna say an abusive situationship, but an abusive situation. Um, so when it comes to like abuse and abusive situations, it can affect the mind and the memory in various different ways. Like I was just talking to my housemate and I wanted to make a video on it. I thought I'd make a good point. You've got memory loss and trauma. Um, Memory loss can result from trauma, mental or physical. Um, like some people will block certain things out, like they can't remember. They're like, "Oh, why don't you know? How can't you tell me every exact detail?" It's like, I don't remember every detail that happened, or I was hit in the head. I can't remember every detail, or even like I do relate to all three of these. Like, they drugged me. That's why I can't fucking remember half the shit. How am I supposed to know that if I was drugged, or if I wasn't looking, or if I just block it out and can't remember it properly because it scared me, or I was in like that the state or something, which is kind of interesting. Like memory loss can occur from trauma. Sometimes people can even remember things differently than it happened, which is also shown in a TV show I watched, which is kind of interesting. But you'll usually find one person has stories that is agreed with by everyone else, but they all have their own version of certain stories because either they were in on it or that's just what they needed to cope. Like you'll find one person they have all their stories and someone will say, oh, they're lying, they don't get it all right, but like individual of their stories will match up with other people, leading to like all of their stories being right to someone, but all of this most of their stories being wrong to someone, because like they all have different versions of this, or they want to see it differently, or they see it differently because it helps them cope and remember, because maybe they went from one abusive situation to another, and in order to cope with it, they wanted to see this person as a stronger or better figure at that time, or at that point in time, they could have even been like doing these things with someone to cope as well, which is like, what you think, what you think of about yourself in that situation or this or that. But you can generally be right, and you'll remember one day what you've forgotten most likely, or even what people might think they know about someone or you. When they look at someone, they might assume something. But it could be like a thyroid, like, someone could be forgetful and they'll say they're a drug addict. Someone could be larger and it was because the hospital forced them on medication. And regardless of this, them being skinny took a lot of fucking effort before they were in hospital because they have like being diagnosed with a thyroid problem and then they're being not diagnosed with a thyroid problem, then diagnosed with a thyroid problem. Or someone could be insulin resistant, like someone I met at university is insulin resistant. I have possible thyroid problems. I was skinny before the hospital forced me on medications and I haven't been able to lose the weight because they're just dicks. I used to like exercise a lot and I was eating right, and I'm eating right again and exercising, not always eating healthy. So I eat burgers sometimes now. But yeah, um, which is interesting. Or like people could say someone's schizophrenic because they have trauma because they don't know what trauma feels like. Um, or there is also, if you go into the spiritual, certain people could have be actually been in situations or seen things or from the past, or people could see things before they happen and know it. Like, I know with me, with certain situations, a hospital says schizophrenic, I'm like, no, I'm not, and blah blah blah, and then they forced me on there because I talked up about something, and my mother found out about it somehow, I think, and sent me in there, and they were saying all these threats from my mother secretly, trying to claim I was schizo, this or that, but then, like, sometimes in my dreams, I've seen things and I've found it happen, the exact same thing happening in the real life, or I've seen things in my head, and I wonder if I find those situations in real life kind of like deja vu, which is interesting. Um, I know it's not manifesting because I've been taught about this, which is interesting. So there can be all different things that are confused for each other, which is interesting. I'm not saying I necessarily can just know everything on someone and just don't expect too much of them because someone might not be able to know anything. Like, I've told this theory to friends for the last couple of years and a bunch of different people, which could be fucking annoying to them, which came out on a TV show as well eventually later. I was like, even if people have psychic or foresight abilities, or a psychic thing, or a psychic being, or a time being, that doesn't mean they can see or know everything, because almost nothing was created to see and know everything. They have their specific things they see. And if for instance, if it's like people trying to train people and they hone it to see what this person has took or who has took it, then all they're going to be able to really see one day is possibly people trying to train people, or an example of that. You know what I mean? Like if you try to train someone to that, and when it comes to beings of foresight, who are naturally possessed like psychic abilities and things, they generally go and find the situations themselves or train themselves, or they'll find like someone who is the same to do it, obviously, possibly as well, certain situations. But, 9 times out of 10, they'll just be able to do it, and they just have to learn how to um handle it or control it, or like blah blah blah. Because possessing it naturally in your body means it will take an effect on your mind and this and that, but it wouldn't really like do that much to your body unless you are overusing it too much, especially if it was like actually from yours and not from like a book from someone else. Because then it's not like your body's natural thing; it's not a natural element, so it will deteriorate when you use it, kind of thing. Just kind of interesting. Um, what they want you to know and see. Um, perversion. Someone might know something and want you to know, or someone like might want you to know something or see something. But certain people will try to pervert the truth. And what perversion is when someone's viewpoint of something is seen. So like someone could walk funny, like, you know, um by my stepfather when I was a child, I was shot in the leg by my abusive stepfather. Or like I've been stabbed a couple of times by an abusive ex, so I and like they've attacked me and grabbed me by the neck and it gave me like a thing coming out the back of the neck here, and I walk with a limp funny. But certain people see that as like, oh, they must be like part of a gang, which my ex tried to be, and my stepfather tried to be, or they might be like, oh, they're promiscuous. That's a sign of being a slut, but that's also not correct. It can also be like nervous conditions, system conditions, medical conditions. It could be trauma. It could be even mental. Some of these things could be mental from people, from having had walked like that in the past, like hearing a certain thing or remembering a certain thing, certain sounds, certain senses could make someone walk like that because of the fact that they were like that in the past, but they've healed from it as well. Um, um, what they want you to know or see could be relevant as well, because like an example of this, of someone abusive like my ex in the past, they were sitting there and hitting and kicking me day in day out for like a year, and it was so sad and horrible, and I hated it. And one day they sat there and I like decided to see how many times they were kicking me and hitting me this time, and I waited till they got to like 100 or 125 or something like that, and then I had enough. So I had enough of that because they were trying to hurt me. So I just hit them back, and they got a bruise on their face, and they're like, "Oh, that one time you this or that." And I was like, "I was never trying to hit you. I was just sitting there counting the marks, remembering." Like a video said this. I was like remembering the angle you're going at me with a knife, not fighting back, so that I can like put it into my rib instead of through the rib or something when it happened. Um, and like I hit this person back on this particular day and they had a bruise on their face from that. And like they went around telling all my friends at work and tried to get me fired and telling all their friends that apparently I was abusive because they had a bruise. But it's like, what about all the bruises you tried to leave on me and all the minor bruises you left everywhere? Or the time you got me in the side of the head with a knife and I was bleeding from the side of the face and I put a hat on at work, which kind of triggered me when I was watching a TV show um, where someone got shot in the head and used a hat to hide it, or the time that you were being abusive and kicked me and I stepped back and hit the wall and fell into the wall and passed out, and when I woke up a few of my fingernails had been removed and you're going to smash my teeth in with a rock. You know, it's all relevancy, and people might not want you to see that because after that they went on a campaign saying, oh, apparently I was lying or cheating, when turns out they had been cheating and lying and they were stealing from me. And I was through that. Like at that point in my life, I was working like 10 or 12-hour nights, 5 or 6 nights a week, and then spending 4 or 5 hours of the day before I went cleaning and then cooking dinner for this person who wasn't even going to work or paying their rent all the point in time. And I had broke up with them or kicked them out so many times, but they were just abusive and kept coming back even if I didn't want them to. And they would tell people I was obsessed with them, and people believed it for some reason, um, especially those who in the past I had been close with in the past, but certain situations had happened with their brother or their parents, the brother being the one in this situation. And it's not their fault. I don't blame them. This is just their way of coping with it because they couldn't deal with the fact that their brother was like their father, or that their brother and their father were like these persons, people who hurt them in their life that they have once tried to get out of a window when I like helped remove the window plank to get let them get out of this abusive situation. And it's not their fault, and I don't blame them for possibly forgetting that, possibly remembering that. But you know, certain people will deal with trauma certain ways in their mind. They could even switch things out or replace things. Um, but it's kind of interesting at the same time how the mind works. They might remember that the same, they might not remember that the same. Um, like it could just be easier for someone to cope with or comprehend or deal with in these situations if they think of someone else. It could be, my ex was also involved in a lot of weird satanic shit and trying to steal people's energy, and they thought people had abilities they didn't realize, and they were trying to steal them all, and this or that. You know, like I also had a scar on my forehead here from when I was a child to do with something, which was someone who not as scary as they seem, especially because I was a child. Um, but it's still scary. Um, it's interesting. It's all in retrospective perspective. I think we were painting a fence around that point in time with my mother. At like a house we were at or something is the story, and yeah, like basically like not very fun, but I was a child, so it's kind of like iffy and I like yeah, but yeah. Um Yeah, so like, and someone might know what they've been through, but they don't need everyone else to validate that. They're just trying to do their best and be their best, and they don't need no validation from anyone. And that's actually a pretty good mentality to have. You don't need validation for anyone. You don't need anyone to believe you because it happened, and now you just need to deal with it. Some situations are horrible, but you go forward and make with the best of what you got, and you know, just work with what you got, and regardless of any situations, and you gotta, be happy with who you are and what you are and where you are, and just work with what you've got and do the best with what you've got and try to be as kind to people as you can because life is like a garden. um we are all flowers. Like obviously flowers don't walk, but they can grow towards certain things or certain situations, or like go away from certain situations that might not suit them. And flowers don't choose where they get to start off. They can start off in richer soil, poorer soil. There's all different shapes or colors, sizes. We look at the bigger flowers, and some people are like, some people think, oh, I want that big flower. How does she get such big tulips? How does she get such big this? How does she get big, such big that? If that was a person, the same person might be like, oh, why? They might be like, not like that flower's healthy or that flower's well fed. They'd be like, oh, that flower has a condition that makes it bigger, not like this or that. I think once upon a time, before beauty standards were invented, people just thought what they thought was like right for them or beautiful was right, and I think that's the way it should be for everyone. And some people are starting to have that mentality again, which I think is lovely. Um, yeah, even like a situation, what they know and what you know and what they want you to know. Like, um, I kind of temporarily forgot being shot by my stepfather when I was a child because he was abusive, and we had been trying to leave. Like, there was one time we were all trying to leave and we had our bags packed under the house, and we were like getting ready to run, and he dragged my mother out and pointed the gun at us and shot at us, which was not the time he shot me, and was like beating her, and we ran down the road, and like we were crying, and like my mother was covered in bruises. um and what they know versus what they want you to know represents a different time with my mother, which was, I think this was after this, not 100% sure, because I think she got a Stockholm syndrome mentality after that. um uh kind of like, my sister ate the last piece of KFC, um, and he started chasing us down in a car, and we ran, and then we ran through grass, and he chased us through the grass, and he was running behind us. He claims he wasn't trying to hurt us, but if we hadn't moved out of the way, he would have hit us a bunch of times. And at the end of this incident, before he went away, like we was hiding behind like a pile of dirt down the road thing, and he like came at us with his car, and we were here, and he was there, and he came like straight at us like that, and we all ran. But I kind of froze up in that situation. I froze because I didn't know what to do. and like he was like this fucking close to hitting me, and my sister pushed me out of the way, and I thought she was dead, but it turns out she was not dead. And yeah, it was interesting. And my mother straight away, as soon as we told her, said, "Oh, that didn't happen. Your father and your grandparents are just trying to put that in your head and make it up you're doing this despite me," and all this bullshit. Um, and spreading all these lies just because she didn't want to see it or believe it anymore. But you know, she had done stuff like this to do with him before, but then we had also been trying to leave. Um, in this situation. So, you know, what we knew and what we saw and what they wanted us to see are completely different things. So, like, certain people will be my mother in that situation trying to alter your mind, your perspective, or see it for no good reason. And most people who have not been in these kind of situations, some people can see it, but some people know about this, and some people can just see it instantly. They can't be trusted, especially by how hard some people try to go out of their way to ruin someone else's life. Like, that to some people proves how abusive and horrible someone is. Some people see that, some people don't know enough to see that. I'm not going to say they're stupid, but some people are just not educated enough to see that yet. I thought I said Waluigi's curse there, but it's not that. Abuse can affect people in different ways. Some people like my sister, she would love to go to school all the time, and she would go to school more all the time and more often because of this. Some people might not want to go to school because the abuse is at school, or because their parents aren't at home, so they get to be at home without the abuse. Some people might act out and hurt other people. Some people might try and want to help other people. Um, some people, some people might lash out at people. Some people might let people in. Some people might block people out of their lives. Some people might be alone. Some people might want to be around people and groups all the time because it makes them feel safe. Um, and I'm not counting the abusive group mentality, but some people can get an abusive group mentality because it makes them feel safe and they're no longer the one being hurt, so it makes them feel good. Some people might want someone who hurt them to feel the pain that they were put through, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, um, and also the abuser in this situation could think differently. Someone could think, "Oh, you insulted me. I'm the bigger man," when they don't even, like, why the fuck would they think from that? They think they're better or higher or rarer or more important, but in a lot of situations, those people are not. The reason they'll go out of the way to say, "I'm dangerous, I'm the most dangerous thing in existence, don't mess with me," is because they're actually not this, they're just pretending to be this. That's what you get with most of the people that act or do this way because there's something bigger and badder out there than them and they actually know it. Or they might be like used to being bullied, so they were from somewhere else and people were mean to them and bullied them somewhere else. So they're like, "I don't want to be the essential bottom of this school food chain or this home food chain here. So I want to be the big one. I don't want to get hurt. I want to hurt someone else," which is a different kind of abusive thinking way. Or some people might have just been weaker as a child. Some people could have been beat as a child. Some people could have wanted to hurt someone as a child because they thought it was fun. Some people could just get off on it. Some people think it was fun. Some people might have never won a fight as a child. So now, when they have a family, or are teachers even, or are police officers, they go out of their way to like get into these situations acting like the nicest person in existence until like the day that they can have it over other people, and then they mean it to other people because they've never won before. So like I'd say, let everyone win at least once in their life. um, which is kind of interesting. Sorry. Um, Damn, I was just talking about abusive people in the throat chakra, and my throat chakra is definitely being all, which is interesting. Yeah, which is interesting. Interesting theories. I wanted to show you all these different rocks. My housemate was gonna keep one. Like all these different rocks for my birthday. I'm gonna keep one, but they have it. I don't know what they all are. I think this one's amethyst. They're all raw rocks, which is kind of interesting because in my tea leaf reading the other day, I saw something about raw rocks or raw stones, and now I've got some which is interesting. I think they're all pretty neat and pretty cool. Love it. No, I'm weak right now. Um, You know, it'd be cool if someone watched these videos and it helped them by learning from other people's stories or from other people, just like letting them know how some other people think and that there can be different things in the situation. Some people might try to always help and fix things because they come from a broken home, but sometimes you've got to know you can't help or fix everything and some things take time to fix or heal. Kind of like how the stones and rocks take time to form a new layer. When a person gets a new layer, um, it's not exactly going to get rid of the fact that they were once this bad person or once this abused person, but the new layer could be a stronger, more vibrant layer, or the new layer could be a kinder layer, and they could end up being changing and being a different person, you know what I mean? Yeah, which is interesting. I'm going to do some more cardi things. I'm trying to think about more things to talk about on this topic because this is the topic that definitely hits home for me and a lot of people. Like, even some people, it reminds me of my theory. Some people say, oh, someone went through less than me. I don't believe in the saying or the term someone went through less than another person. I mean, sure, some people go through worse situations or some people go through more, but just because someone went through something that is less, sorry, I just said it in that context. So I said, just because someone who goes through something different, like I have been raped, I've been almost murdered, I have a scar on my heart from where my abusive ex tried to cut my heart out. I've been raped when I was a baby, I've been raped when I was a child, I've been raped when I was a teenager. I've been in abusive situations most of my life, and when I got to the new city, I thought it was over, and it was definitely nowhere near as bad. But there was still a couple of rapists. There's still a couple of rapists and living with a crazy ass housemate, who I no longer see or know, who was a little bit crazy sometimes because they were on a lot of drugs and sleep deprived because of this or that, and they turned out to be like trying to rape fucking teenagers for and drug them, and then they fucking broke up with the person they were doing it with and pretended that um they were the one doing it and that they were a good person, that they were going to go hurt all these people that were doing it who were bad people that were doing it, but actually it was not those people doing it, and they had been doing it themselves, and they were doing this to hide the fact that they were doing it. um and in and out of abusive situations, all in all, like out of the 28 years I've had on this earth, like 24 of them have been in abusive situations, maybe even 25, because when I came to Perth for let's see, like 3 or 4 years, there was a bunch of different rapey people situations, and not really many abusive situations physically though. Like, I think the only one that tried to abuse me was that one housemate here. Um, there was a few bad situations with like rapey people, but I went out online looking for friends, and how could most people obviously want sex and they just say friendship, which I haven't been getting as much lately, which is probably because the hospital made me gain weight, which I say fuck you. Big people are beautiful too. This same person. So we've got Howlite, Spiritual Beginnings, which is interesting because it reminds me of a theory I said before about some people being abusive and some people not being abusive in certain situations. Like, there could be different reasons for something, which I knew about. Um, then we got um, Celestial Quartz, which is an angelic truth in the presence. So, an angelic being. Emerald, spiritual healing, someone who is capable of spiritual healings. I don't know how this relates to abusive situations, so let's think someone was abused who has all of these. Angelic touch, angelic truth, not angelic touch. Um, God, I hope an angel didn't touch someone and was an evil fallen person, but I don't think that's what relevancy to the situation is. I don't think that is it. I mean, maybe it means like an angelic healing touch with the other ones like that. Let's see, beginning spiritual, someone who has had a bad and abusive beginnings and a bad abusive situations and starts. Someone an angelic truth, so like the holy or the whole truth, or like someone showing their some like true selves or true lights to certain situations or people, which I guess could be helpful. And someone who is a spiritual healer and is like healing or helping people or trying to heal and help people. I also want to show this card, the Earth's Embrace. Someone dead or someone could die. which I think is interesting. The Earth's embrace could mean like the love of nature and Earth, and vision. So someone has a vision of the Earth's embrace, or a vision of someone dying, or someone maybe going to die. Something to do with a vision, which is interesting. It is interesting. Let's see. The art of war. I guess abusive people in situations in the art of war is relevant because my stepfather in the abusive situations claimed they had all these military tactics that they used against, and they tried to use them all against us, and like they tried to use all these things they said about certain situations to do with like this or that, and they tried having their little gang people, and they're apparently intimidating people. And this one time when I was like 10, they managed to get me, and they like dragged me into the middle of a field and poked holes in a water bottle thing and like hung it above the head, and they like drip the water on your head and say things and make you go crazy, and they like hit you or pinch you or like poke needles in you or something from various angles. Or like my ex tried to use a tactic where they chase you around and then they make you inhale marijuana and try to make you smoke marijuana and threaten if not, and they like put something on you and make you breathe smoke, which is weird. All warfare is based on weapons. All warfare is based on deceptions. Don't be deceived. Life is hard enough when we are deceived by others, but even harder when we deceive ourselves. When we tell ourselves that the others are better, smarter, and more deserving of happiness than we are, or when emotions get in the way of rational choices. Much of our freedom and power comes from control of our choices, because we cannot control others' choices. I mean, I think that's kind of interesting because, if you say you don't deserve it, you might still deserve it, and you don't think so. Even if you didn't deserve it in the past because you were doing horrible things to people, like the fact that you could think that you don't deserve it because you've done wrong by someone means that you do deserve something because, you've changed and gotten out of that situation and gotten better. Or someone thinking the abuse was their fault, or the things that happened was their fault when it honestly was not. Um, like, to do with the situation with my ex being a Satanist, like my ex Sam, he was a Satanist and involved in some weird shit, and he fully tried to convince his sister of this or that, and that they were darkness and that they were this evil being when they weren't, and they would just say it to people. Maybe they were secretly evil, maybe they weren't, I don't know, but I honestly think they could end up in their mentality one day if they remember things differently than they should. Um, Thinking they were this big evil thing because their ex put it into their head. And these girls, like, I very much care about them. They're like my little sisters. Still, I haven't seen them in so many fucking years, but it'd be cool to see if they're okay. That would be nice to see if they're okay. Okay, so the next one. He who knows how to fight, sorry, he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Like, this also reminds me of like when knowing when to fight, knowing when to say what you know, knowing when to not say what you know. Like, my ex was very much convinced he would steal this energy that I possess from me and use to pretend he was one of us or like me, and say one of us is not like the others. One of us is a false us, but actually it was them doing it this whole time in their fucking Macca's outfit with the ugly ass face. Sorry, I don't usually say that about people, but they're a horrible person, so I'm okay with saying it. Um, and they were using it to steal what they stole from me. That made me all itchy and shit when they stole it from um other people and pretend to be one of something, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, they were very weird. There was even once they were convinced that I possessed all these rare things, and they cut me a couple of times and tried cutting me, but those didn't really leave scars or marks, I don't think, um, or anything there. Um, they tried cutting me with like this white handled knife with all these carvings in it, and I found out what that could have been one day. Um, they were very weak though. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that I had like not slept for 3 days because of all the bullshit, or because I had like they threatened other people, to do with this situation, like just random people in the neighborhood, like they threatened random children in the neighborhood and show me where they were, and if I made it away, then they would like go for these people instead. So I stayed out of fear for like a random child's life or a random child getting hurt, which was interesting. So pick your battles. As in war, so in family life. Some battles or arguments cannot be won. All families argue or agree. Whether it's parents arguing with each other, parents with children, or siblings with each other, communication is key in establishing boundaries. Um, if you have to argue, don't lose your temper. Be rational and deliberate. But remember, sometimes it is more important to move on. Be strong and hold steady. When a close relationship, like a marriage, goes wrong, the resulting breakup is never easy. But as soon as you are ready, move quickly, stop feeling sorry for yourself, lay everything on the table, keep your counsel, and don't be rattled by bullshit tactics. The quicker you get it sorted, the quicker you can move on. Remember, you are probably stronger than you think. And the other side, as Sun Tzu said, let your spirit guide. Let your rapidity be that of the wind, your compactness be that of the forest. Be like fire and immortal. And immovably, and sorry, be like fire in immovability, like a mountain. I thought that was kind of interesting. Use the knowledge of others. So use what people teach you, use what you know. I wouldn't say steal other people's knowledge from their mind physically, because then they won't have it, but use it. Like, looking into someone's mind doesn't require going like this or taking it magically. If you were to look into someone's mind, it's kind of like a window. You see through the window. Don't go through the window. Don't break the window. Don't take anything out of the window. Just read it through the window like you're reading a book. If you possess those abilities or something like that, which I think would be pretty cool. Pretty sure certain people could do that. It makes sense. Like fucking if bees can if bees can like all get messages from a queen bee, then how the fuck aren't there telepath humans if they grew up involved and lived on the same planet? You know what I mean? It's interesting. Use the knowledge of others. Don't always think you have to go it alone. You don't have all the answers or all the information or in front of you or all of the time. If you know someone with skills and knowledge that you don't have, ask them for advice or help. They will almost always be happy to share what they know with you. And on the other side, we shall be unable to return. We shall be able to return. No, we shall be unable to turn natural advantages to account unless we make use of bloods. Local guides. Okay, so preparation is power. Whatever you do, um, in life is essential to make a plan. All plans should begin with a carefully assessment of all the circumstances involved. Uh, the point of this is the information this process will give you. Um, Ask around, get help from the appropriate people. Arming yourself with the relevant intel will allow you to alter your plans accordingly. He will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. Like, are they unprepared and just walking in and taking the enemy unprepared, or is the enemy unprepared? It's two perspectives. I guess someone's gonna go in unprepared and somehow fuck shit up, but they might get shot or stabbed once, but they're still gonna win, which is interesting. Okay, I want to do a rune now. Okay, so I got two. We've got I think it's home and journey. A journey from home or a journey to home, but home. That might mean something else. I don't really remember. Let me check in this book. I shouldn't really open it to the page because this video is already taking too ridiculously long, but I mean, not like anyone's probably going to watch anyway. But I just do it because why the hell not? I mean, hopefully someone does, and it helps someone. But let's see, this one is okay. So, um, Othelaz represents the gaining of material possessions through inheritance or a close bonding of family members. And Rodeo, I think this one is Ride Rideho. I think it's Rodeo is pronounced. This refers to changes such as finding a new home or workplace and unexpected travel that proves to be very rewarding. So someone is going to find or be given like a home or a new home situation, which is kind of interesting. Um, so I guess this kind of represents in the world of abuse and spiritualism and journeys, someone could end up finding a home, coming out of an abusive situation and finding a home, which I think is interesting. You know, like I've had interesting different homes, and like this is my home right now, but I can't really stay here forever because I probably won't be able to. I do like the people I live with, but like, you know, at the last house, it was kind of sad when the guy, my friend who owned the house, passed because I felt like I had finally found a home somewhere I had a job that I fit and belong, where there was no abuse, and you know, I finally got to spend my own money instead of it all being stolen from me, and it was interesting. But yeah, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Maybe someone's Jesus secretly. Whereas something red to give you, to lift your mood and give you courage, which is interesting. I'm gonna do a random thing. Shouldn't be doing this at 10 o'clock at night with such small rooms and places. Let's see. On this, I've got two more. I'm gonna do the dream interpretation because I did a few videos on dreams, and these cards I've had for a while. I've lost some. I don't really have the book exactly, but I don't think it came with the book actually. Sorry. It's got like all these different pictures on it of dreams, and on these ones, there is like you can see certain things of these in dreams, and around all the different corners, it's got different words for what it can mean to do with dreams. I don't think I've seen any of these in dreams. But for instance, like you see something like this in a dream, search any of you probably can't see it on this camera, but if you see like all these people, some of them are coming out of plants from plant roots, or got people growing off of a tree upwards, with hats and hoods and on. You could search monks or religiosis, Religios, or Religiosi, or Godsent. I mean Godsdienstigen, or something, which is kind of cool. I don't know why I'm looking through these right now. It's not going to really be relevant to anyone here. I was going to say you, but there's no one really watching. But yeah, different ways to interpret dreams and things you see in dreams and meanings. mean, like, I saw one of a waterfall, which reminds me of a dream I had when I was a child, of like a situation to do with this or that, and I had a dream that like I had a secret mother before this life, and like I had a cosmic mother type being, and she was like someone whose picture was featured in a Yu-Gi-Oh card of like this. It was like this restore card with like this lady. It was like a mountain river titan kind of looking lady. Like I can't remember what it was. It was like Gaia's tears or something like that, which was kind of interesting. But that was an interesting dream. It's obviously not real, but it reminded me of that. Dreams are kind of interesting. They're kind of gateways or portals sometimes, and sometimes they're gates or portals. But many times a dream can be like what your mind blocks out. So like certain people say a dream is like an interpretation of everything you've seen randomly displayed or everything you know randomly displayed. That's why you see people in your dreams. You see different people, or it's obviously like situations with dream walks or this or that, or other types of beings. But yeah, like some people might have like foresight or abilities of psychic or stuff like that, and they're taught by certain people in life block it out and um, not not see or know this, or they're given medication and forced to not see or know this. But even if they do, they're still supposed to see this. Even if their conscious mind doesn't see it, their unconscious mind or higher self will still see or know it. So when they sleep in their dreams, when they also heal, um, like their mind will still see it somehow. Like it'll be shown to them in a dream because they have already seen it, but they have blocked it out. So they've blocked it out, but their mind has still somewhat experienced it. So in their dream, they will still see it somehow. Yeah. Okay, so we have the VII. What is that? We have the Seven of Swords in reverse for the past of abusive situations, or situationships I might have been thinking a little bit too much, not about the general topic. In the present, we have the Three of Swords. Um, in the future, we have the Eight of Staves. And for all around for this draw, the 7 of Cups. There's a golden serpent in this one, which I was told, like the golden serpent, is supposed to represent immortality, which is interesting. There's also like a dragon, a wreath, or a floral crown thing, which I always used to wear one as a child, and I was always given one by my mother and all this or that, which was kind of interesting. I liked it. Like a castle, a woman, a glowing dress person coliseum thing, and whatever the fuck that is, which is interesting. So I think the all around message for this is like enlightening the self and lightness, or like clouds. Clouds might be the point of this, like, clouds in the sky. It could represent letting go, finding yourself, making life choices and paths. Depending on what you've been through, doesn't mean um where you come from, because where you start off and how you grow and how you shape is kind of like the cup. Like someone, not saying turn someone into a cup or drink from someone like a cup, but um, kind of like when you grow, your emotions grow kind of like a cup, right? So your emotions grow and they form as they form. Um, you have your cup of your mind, and you have like other people being abusive and trying to put all this like horrid, evil, mean things into your mind and fill your cup with what they want you to be. But in the end, you could choose any of these things, and you could put into your like the cup of your own life. You could put many different things. You could put your kindness into your cup. Like you could make your cup kind, fill your cup with kindness because you want to be kind, or love. I'm not saying someone's not going to steal your cup or try to break your cup even more, or even how long your cup is going to last or survive, but you know, make with your cup what you will. Okay, so we've got the for the past of these situations and abusive, um, the Seven of Swords. So we've got someone who is carrying swords away. In the reverse, it kind of makes it look like someone who is stealing five of something and two were left behind alone. So two people standing alone while five people were taken by something, um, which is interesting. Uh, a Mara, um, which is kind of interesting. I'm gonna search up the actual meanings of these if I try to interpret the pictures. Oh my god, this is way too long of a video for anyone to care about or watch, but who gives a shit? And it's kind of like getting off my chest, and I can watch it later if I want to, and look back on my thoughts. Um, so this is three at present the three of hearts. I'm getting a heart that stands strong, even though it's had many ruins. And I can see like in the background, it's like all those stripes, but that looks like a waterfall with some clouds and a rainbow and a loving being inside of someone, like a lot of love hidden inside someone. Kind of reminds me of the mentality, um, wolf in sheep's clothing and sheep in wolf's clothing. Like my old housemate that moved out of here, I saw instantly that they were a psychopathic being. Like I could tell so quickly, and it turns out I was right. And people looked at them and they're like, "Oh, they're so sweet, they're so quiet, they're so innocent." That's how some of these people get you. Most of the people who are actually angry psychopathic people, some of them will be obvious about it. Like 3 out of 10, 2 or 3 out of 10 will be angry and obvious about it. But like some of them are so incredibly smart that they hide what they are through like, oh, being all innocent or not talking to people and acting like this or that. And when they don't get what they want, when someone sees what they truly are, when someone's asleep or not looking, they would just be this horrible person. But yeah, it's like the wolf in sheep's clothing or the sheep in wolf's clothing theory, which is kind of interesting. Um, yeah, not saying that was the actual devil, it's just like as a mentality to do kind of with that. Okay, so for this one in the future, I kind of get something about drawing sticks for a situation that has happened or will be relevant or come back into light about people drawing sticks from something which is interesting. Um, I'm getting life spreading or blooming from something. Perhaps someone will find a child, or perhaps someone will make a child, or maybe someone's even going to adopt a child for themselves. There are so many. Each of these things can only handle like three or four themselves, but it looks like a bunch of them have three, and some of them have two. One of them has two, and one of them has four, instead of all being even with someone. But I can see all these different lives and all these different seedlings, kind of like spreading from the situation. Is that upside down? I don't care if it's upside down. I still see it this way. I'm gonna read the actual meaning, but I kind of like see all these different life blooming from a situation, um, from something dead. Something has died, and something or someone is dead, but there's all these new lives and these new hopes and these new beings like sprouting or blooming from that and from like this past, and like the death itself is making way for like new hope beings and these new beings, these other beings that didn't die in the future who get to make it and be themselves and be good and live their lives and be as they are and the best that they can be, you know what I mean? Okay, so for the past, someone who is very deceptive, someone who is slow to act, cunning. Cunning, the opposite of is deceptive, and there's deceit. So someone who is straightforward with somebody about something, I don't know what tact is or the opposite of tact. Someone who is definitely not a diplomat, so someone who is the opposite of diplomat, so someone who is trying to start trouble or situations for no reasons, or start like a war with someone, or start situations just so they could have the thrill of complaining or going through these bad situations. Maybe they've done it before. It also reminds me of certain people in my life, even my most recent roommate. Someone who wasn't very willing to compromise or flexible about certain beings or having certain beings live in their mind. Someone who was unwilling to compromise for the greater good, so someone who did what they want for themselves and no one else, not thinking about anyone else in this situation, just how they wanted it and the way they wanted it. Like, ugh, ew. Go eat a fucking soggy potato filled with jacket cheese. Um, there will be times when you're gonna have to stick with what you know and what you believe, and trusting. There's times you got to trust in yourself. So someone had to stick with their beliefs and what they know and trust in themselves in order to make it through a situation, either physically or mentally in the past. Um, Someone who is too open and honest in their thinking or the way they think. Um, Someone who did not deal with the situation properly. So this could even be about, I was looking up something to do with this today. Discrimination could have been made on someone on a spiritual belief basis because someone believed different. Like, someone locks someone up saying they're crazy because they believe in spiritual stuff. Imagine if you got locked up for saying, I believe in science, and how that would feel to you, based on your beliefs and what you know. That's literally someone could lose their license for that, or someone can get so much compensation for it for saying this person is crazy and they believe in alternative healing, when alternative healing can be like using flowers, which are used to make medicine as well, or like taking healing her using herbs for healing or believing in alternative healing practices is a spiritual belief system and it's a religion and it's considered biased if you don't do it. And someone could literally lose their license for saying that about somebody or something like that. It's definitely not means to lock someone up for 6 months. Even if like someone says they're a Satanist and you tell someone and they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You can, that's also bad. But like if someone believes in the spiritual things, especially in the modern day, you can't do that. You can't lock them up for that. You can't lock them up because their parents said they're a fucking Wiccan or something, which is interesting. Um, I mean, like, even empathy, like, the ability empathy, sensing emotions, is something that's used in modern day words as, like, just a commonality, and empathy in the actual definition of the words in modern day society means not a psychopath. Anything but a psychopath is an empath. There's also other, I wouldn't say that's actually correct because psychopaths are not empaths, narcissists are not empaths, and sometimes even people who hurt other people can be empaths, but they block it out. But like the only people in the world who empathy can be like an ability, yes, like if it's taken to extremes or works in different ways than like the average person. But empathy, by its definition as well in the modern day dictionary and stuff, is everything but psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists. So if someone says it can't be an empath, it's not real, um, or like they don't believe it because they don't have magical superpowers. When they say they're an empath, that shows how actually insane that person is to think that'll be that way. It shows how mentally unwell someone could be. Okay, so we got three other swords. This is also in reverse, actually. I didn't think it was. Um, in this direction, it would represent something falling, but it was in this direction, so I think it represents something rising, like the pain and the trauma could be shed, and something will transform and sprout wings and smite a fucking demon bitch. Probably not. Um, what's opposite of a conflict? Someone's finding peace. Someone who is not struggling as much as someone thinks right now. Someone who is healing from a heartache or without a heartache, and someone who doesn't have a headache but someone else does. Someone who is not disappointed. Someone who doesn't want to argue or doesn't want to hear it. Someone who's not sad crying. Someone, well, it says tears, but it's in reverse. So what's the opposite of tears? Weeping. Someone who is weeping, and someone who wants to be together with someone, or see someone, or know someone, which is kind of interesting. I mean, if someone's in that situation, all you can do is reach out and see if someone wants to do this or that, or if someone wants to know someone, or this or that. Like it can all be in perspective, like especially when it comes to miscommunications of like for instance someone being a sibling. I have so many siblings, but like sometimes if someone says is that your sibling and I think they mean like biological, I'll be like no, it's not my sibling because they're not biological, but at the same time some of these people still are my siblings. Or like if someone asks me if someone's my friend and I'm not sure if that person likes me, I'll be like yeah, they're my friend to myself. So like if someone asks me do you like this person and want to be their friend, I'll be like yeah, like this person is like a friend to me, I want to be their friend. But if someone says hasn't said like we're friends or I don't like you, it's like I don't know if we're friends. Or like even if someone I'm in a situation with an abusive person around there and they say is this your friend, I'll be like, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about, but that person secretly is my friend because I don't want to involve them in a situation with a crazy abusive person and have them have to deal with it, but they are my friends. I mean, if someone walked up to me and said that my this person was in trouble, are you? They're your friend, and they were definitely my friend or something. I'd be like, yes, of course they're my friend. What's up? Who am I gonna cut? I'm just kidding. I'm not actually gonna cut anyone. But if they cut you, kidding. Um, someone who is healing or shedding pain from a past situationship or trauma. Someone who is like kind of like shedding past cycles or getting over past cycles or past situations. Um, this says in matters of the heart, but it's not heart, so in matters of the mind. So someone who is in situations or doing things to survive, to necessarily to survive, which can it can put your mind in different situations. It can make your mind alters. It can be scary, like the physical feeling of jumping out of a plane, being in or out of situations like that. I'm not saying I've jumped out of a plane because I haven't, but like the feeling of if you were to go jump over the edge and someone's in or out of a situation that they've been in or out of right now, and to you it's like oh it's just that he'll do that, but to this person it's like I'm not saying physically jump over an actual ledge, but it's kind of like it's like bungee jumping. How scary is it for some people to actually jump over the ledge and be into this new environment where things are different? Sure, jumping off of a bungee jumping thing is about control too, but like jumping off of a cliff is kind of like also like the feeling of like it's scary because it's like something you've never done before. You've never been out of those situations. You're used to being in those situations. It's what you know. It's what you had to do. It's what you were taught sometimes. So it's like the scary feel. Um, I like jumping off of a thing. Um, um, I really even realized that change was necessary in the long run. So maybe changing something or doing something differently in the short term would be cool. I know I'm thinking about this, but like certain people in certain situations could be mean when they're traumatized. Like they could be kind 90% of the time, but they go through a recent trauma or in a certain situation and they're mean to someone because they're like, oh, I'm hurting, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be, I don't want you to see me hurt, or I don't want you to see me sad or cry like I myself in the past. I've tried to push a lot of people away and be mean to them because I didn't want to be friends with or get involved with anybody from my past anymore because my ex was abusive and they're trying to get involved in these situations. It was like on the other side of the country from here. But like, I got rid of all my old friends, and if they kept trying to stay friends with me, I like made sure they didn't want to be friends with me by trying to be mean to them because I didn't want them to get involved or hurt in this situation with like an abusive person. So I just like cut everybody out of my life. And then I had no friends, and I went for like 8 years where I could go for like 6 or 7 or 8 months alone without talking to anyone because no one wanted to talk to me, and everyone online just wanted to be like, most of them would say, "Oh, we can go out, we can be friends, blah blah," but they just wanted to fuck, and leave and come back to fuck like all the time or every day. And I was like, no, I don't want that from people. Like, screw you all, fuck you all. Like, how can you treat people or think of someone like that or blah blah blah? Because I didn't do it with most of them, so they all started rumors. I did it with all of them. I was like, ew, screw you. I've had sex with almost none of these people. Not saying I didn't do it with no people, because I'm not exactly a sinless man myself. But I definitely had sex with a few people. I'm not saying it's a low number. I'm not gonna say it's a high number, but it kind of was, which is gross, and I have so much regret. Um, Probably not too many. Like the modern day count is a lot more than me, but I was very alone, and these people were promising to be my friends or spend time with me, or even just to give me a hug, which is interesting, which also puts things into perspective about all these situations about people wanting to be wanted or loved or hugged or this or that, or like certain people could be seeming angry on me, but there could be all these other different things and circumstances and situations going into it. Like maybe they were hurt by somebody, maybe they weren't, maybe they're sad, maybe they're disappointed, maybe they're trying not to cry and they don't like people see them crying. I don't know, it's all kind of interesting and different. But yeah, you never know. Okay, so this one in reverse. Okay, someone will stand still in a certain situation, maybe something to do with the peg, or like an old-timey cartwheel, or like a piece of metal somewhere and a string attached to it. Um, Someone who was off of a track or trail or off of a track. Um, um, goals on their way, goals on their way to being achieved in reverse could be goals that someone hasn't started working towards their goals yet, or it could be that someone has already started achieving their goals, or someone has already achieved certain goals they wanted in life, which is kind of interesting. Oh my god, you almost saw my hideous face. This is like almost fucking an hour 20 and it's grossly long, and I don't think anyone would be interested in watching, but oh well, I make it anyway. I like it, I can watch it later, I can go back to it. Be surprised how often watching my own videos or my own references or my own notes I leave could come in handy and be like, whoa, that's so relevant right now. Like, there was even this one time I got a piece of paper and I was like a little bit high because I used to smoke weed, and I decided to like write out all these numbers. So I read out all these random ass numbers and like all these random ass words and sometimes even these inspirational things on pieces of paper, and I just put them out into the wind and they just flew off. And like I'm on the other side of the country 4 years later, and coincidentally, something I've read, it could just be the exact same thing, coincidentally, but the exact same thing, the exact same piece of paper, somehow found me 4 years later on the other side of the motherfucking country. Or like even throwing a bouncing ball, you might see the same bouncing ball months later as come to you, and it's like just a coincidence. Or you could throw a bouncy ball and something could happen in a chain reaction, which would be interesting. I thought it was pretty cool, but don't do that shit. Yeah. Something, a plan that has already been completed, something has already been done. um Someone who is off of a track or off of like an actual footpath right now, maybe they should be on a path, maybe they should consider taking a dirt path, wear shoes in case there's worms or parasites. um Something was in the way of someone, like standing in between or way of someone or something or someone or what they wanted or what they were seeing or what they were doing. Um Something, uh rethinking your plans. um Things are at a standstill or you're already somewhere. Um, News. So a minor change or a minor inconvenience. It says major changes in your life, but I think this means minor changes, or maybe something major will stay the something might happen that's happened before. Things you hope for will come to pass. things you hope for have come to pass, or have not yet come to pass, or will not happen. I hope it's not will not happen, but things you hope for may have already come to pass, but it could also be certain things that someone was wishing for will not happen. Maybe it means someone actually, instead of wishing for these things, someone has to take action and be the change in their life that they want to see as well. Someone who is not going to have to travel very far to do something or change something. Um, okay, so for this all around this one, it's going to be about a decision, a choice, a dream, a vision, an imagination, or a new path is found. A new path appears. The Seven of Cups suggests that you're at a struggles. I mean that you're at a crossroads in life or in a particular matter. A very important decision needs to be made. Don't sell your soul. Don't give it up. Don't make a deal with anything just for something in the short term. Because, even if you're going to if you're at a crossroads and someone wants you to make a deal, don't fucking do it. It's not worth your soul. It's not worth you. Um, it's not worth it. Even if you get this now, there's always consequences to making deals with devils or demons. Like, I wouldn't fucking do it. Um, like, oh, I want to live a happy life. I want a baby. They'll give you a happy life or a baby, but your life will be happy, but you'll die the next day. Or it could be 1 year or 2 days. He give you a baby, but it won't be your own. They'll steal a baby from someone, they give it to you. They'll put a demon baby in you. Um, you know, God could bless you with a baby or a happy life if you turn to the right situations and things, or good people or good beings. It's not worth it. Don't let them tempt you because, um, they it could be like a disabled baby also. Um, these people might be wanting to put you at a crossroads after you. But like I watched this video the other day, maybe the reason you're put through such trials and struggles is so you can help someone out in the same situation. Or maybe it's also because, like, the reason God's letting this happen to you is so that you will turn to them, rather than having an easy life where you don't see the need or think or see God, see the point in having God. Um, Like, maybe God wants you just as much as these evil beings are trying to get and take you, whether or not it's God or it's gods or it's creation or creator or it's science, because, we all had to come from somewhere. Was it the chicken or the egg that came first? Well, if the egg came before the chicken, where did the egg come from? And if the chicken came before the egg, where did the chicken come from? A dream or a vision, choose the right path. You are not aged, sorry. You are advised to remain grounded and realistic when working with the yellow brick road. Um, you you deem your decisions to be worthy, but will they be right? Ensure you have the right knowledge to go forward in this situation. Um, you might not be able to stick to the same road you know. Um, stick with them. Sorry, you won't be able to stick with them for too long. Think before you choose. You may or you may not be able to stick with something for too long. It all honestly depends. I mean, what is a bundle of sticks or twine or binding? You know, it's interesting. Interesting ideas, interesting thoughts, interesting things. Um, don't debate your worth, decide on it. Things are the way they are for a reason, and things are the way they are supposed to be for a reason. Like, some people might say, for instance, some people would claim that God hate gays, but there's nothing in the real or the original Bible about it. And there was even hints that Jesus could be gay, but I don't know if that's accurate or true or not. But in the original Bible, the real one, there's nothing to say that they hated them. Like, in fact, I think some of them were favored. I don't think God has anything against them. Like in my personal experience, it's not if you're gay. It's that you are what you are and what you are meant to be in the way that you were made. Um, and you have to be happy as you can. You have to do good. You do the best you can with your best intentions and do the best with what you got, and you follow the rules pretty much. Because there's no actual Bible. There's like no commandment in the Bible that says don't be gay. There's one that says don't tell lies as well. Don't have sex before marriage. I think that the people say one of them is apparently not be gay, but that's not right. It doesn't sit right. It doesn't interpret right. Um, you know, I hope we're not in this like they could be wrong, they could be right. It's not like we're in the time when like the whore from the Bible is out and no one knows a true Bible, but I mean, I honestly don't think God has problems with certain peoples as much as some people think they would. They're just looking to hate because they had a problem with someone. Like, if you look in the Bibles you get these days, they will say the first page says, like, the first page they had to make it to say it was rewritten then because it was, if not, it's not. So if the Bibles don't have the first page saying this book was rewritten in 1876, where it includes the hatred of gay people and this or that. Well, it doesn't say where it includes the hatred of gay people. It just says it was rewritten then if it doesn't say this book was written or rewritten in 1876 or 1861, then it's technically not cited. It doesn't have reference to the original one, so it's not really real. Um, and they're very easily perishable by fire, whereas if they had the actual word of the Lord, it'd be pretty hard to burn them. But, um, Bibles could also be made of burn resistant material as well, which is interesting. Um, I got this Bible from a group someone went um, for me to see and to read, so I'm kind of interested to see if it's got the real themes and real characteristics and real depictions and interpretations in it. I thought that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, I'm glad we're not living in the time where the whore was on the earth and almost no one knew the actual Bible and the actual love of God, and they all thought it was this big, evil, scary thing because of all the lies that had been told them, what they had been made to fear and feel and think about something they didn't even know or hadn't even experienced yet, which I think was kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know. Some people say the man drowns a whole planet because he's angry. Some people say, well, at that point in time, everyone was raping and murdering people, so the ones who survived that floods were the victims. And he drowned the murderers and he drowned the rapists. You know what I mean? They were all raping and murdering, eating, killing each other. So it's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna drown them all except for the victims. I can just make more people and start again. And this time they'll be good or better or right. You know what I mean? You know, everyone makes mistakes. If God had to do that, it kind of also means everyone makes mistakes, even God himself. Maybe it's his first time creating a world and a reality, so people need to give him a little bit more slack on things. It's all trial and error. It's like, just go from the get go, just go straight into it, you know what I mean? Give him a little slack. It's his first time doing it. Maybe it's not his first time doing it and we don't realize it. I don't know. But anyway, that's my randomized theories for today. Um, Thank you so much. Have a nice night, day, Sundays, whatever. Love you. Bye.